Hey everyone, welcome back. It's the second week at Keeneland. This is Emily from Optics EQ, Trip Note Taker, and Partner. I'm going to do a different style handicapping video this week, looking at the Appalachian, going off as race 8 at Keeneland on Thursday. It's going to be a little bit different because I'm actually going to handicap this race live. I'm going to use the same kind of technique and format that I used in the Madison when I broke that video down into 4 parts last week, looking at pace, class, speed, and form. So we're going to go through that same style looking at this race. So I'm going to start Optics Selector, make sure the right date, Keeneland, and then we'll drop down race 8, pop open the plot. Just let this load. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of look at pace. We have a red plot fit, so horse is not really lining up along the diagonal. It's not terrible though. You can kind of get a feel for pace as far as just kind of making sure the RPM, the run styles match up with the plot position. Looks like the 8's in east, so he's out here. Even in quadrant 3, or she's out here in quadrant 3. We use that map first call. Should still be on the lead, so that seems to match up, 9, 10. It's just kind of one of the things I want to look for. As far as the contention goes, on standard, we have a snowflake, 1, 2, 3, 4 horses in quadrant 1, and speed rating 23, so there is some, you have these 3, 10, 11, 12 drawn outside, and even 13. Close to or above the par line, so there should be some type of pace. We're not going to look at a lone runoff scenario, and then kind of some mid-pack presser stalkers, and it looks like a couple circles that are down here in quadrant 4, probably at a disadvantage with that run style and closing ability. So the next thing I want to do, I'm going to open quad stat, just kind of narrow down a little bit more. Just kind of get an idea of where these winners are coming from on the plot. Looks like quadrant 3 squares perform very well. Same with squares in quadrant 2, 1, and 4. So pretty much squares on standard plot seem to do well. So let's kind of look at those. I'm just going to make notes. This is something I'll do often, as nothing really jumps out at those horses. So 13, 4, 6, 2, and 1. As far as quad stats seem to have a preference. And we'll do the same thing for surface distance. Click over to surface distance, which sometimes I'll do earlier just to see, anything kind of shakes out a little bit. Plot does move, and that might be the reason for it being a red plot fit, is standard surface distance not entirely matching up. Let's switch this over to surface distance. Let's see, squares in quadrant 1, 20%. Squares quadrant 2, 20.9. Circles in quadrant 2, 19.4. So quadrant 2 seems to be very favorable for surface distance. So 1, 2, circles and squares. All right, so again, we're kind of looking at, the only horse that's going to fall into that is the 5, who wasn't on standard, but those horses 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 seem to have an advantage as far as quad stats. So I just want to kind of note those and make sure I look at them a little bit extra when I get into form and speed and everything. 2 horses drop out, the 11 and the 13. One coming off looks like a long 152 layoff and 47. So both these horses were in quadrant 1, so maybe sprinters stretching out. I'll leave that open for now. Let's go over into the grid, and again, I said I have the grid pulled up from the dev site, kind of spot checking it, working on some stuff. We have some different features in here that are good to use, and this is going to come out pretty soon. So look forward to that. All right, let's go for class first. So let's punch in anything with a G. And that's going to kind of filter out our grade stake races. Again, this being a grade 3, the horses that have run in stake races, I kind of see some 1s and 2s. We're looking for these higher grades. Those horses might just have an edge. So horse by horse, we'll kind of run through here. The number 1, Dream Dancing. Again, just looking from class. B minus grade 2, B minus grade 1, B minus in grade 2, B plus in grade 3. So seems to fit at this level, B plus in grade 3, and then just comes up a little bit short in grade 1 and 2. The number 2, Law Coronel. Oh, again, you guys, this is early, so I don't have morning lines here as far as who the morning line favorite. Kind of backing up some on this, but that's kind of one thing I would do on my handicap if I had this early. It's just kind of start at the morning line favorite and sort of attack from there. But we'll go horse by horse with this technique. So grade 3, a B, solid. Grade 1, a B. Seems to run a good race each time. Yeah, even a B here in the grade 1 juvenile fillies, even though 6th place finish. So solid contender. The number 4. We've got a B in a grade 3 and a B plus in a grade 1. So that horse definitely figures on class. Number 5, I think this pops as a G because of Ginger Brew, but B in a restricted stake, we'd probably want to see a B plus, so maybe a little bit below. Coasted, grade 3 was a B minus. Keyword here, we'll get into form, but lack room, so that might have been an issue. Goes to the grade 1, B plus. And then here comes the Bride, grade 3, a B. Again, I'm not really looking at finishing position because sometimes turf races, it makes trips. So I like to use class from that perspective more than finishing position. Journey Home, the number 7, grade 3, a B. Solid 8, Like a Hurricane, a C. Lone no finish, drop shorter, so that horse is below. 9, a B minus, below. Lull, number 10, grade 3, we've got a B minus, and then a grade 1, a B. Okay, so a couple of these horses, the 1, again, I'm just going to mark from a class standpoint. We've got the 1, the 2, the 4, 5, we're going to count as a little bit below, the 6, 7 I'll throw in there, and the 10. Okay. So some kind of matches as far as plot 1, 2, 4, and 6. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 6 fit on plot and class. I'm gonna go back to clearing out these filters, and again we'll kind of go through when we get into form and go through horse by horse if there's anything I missed, and then abbreviate. Let's look at next surface distance. Again, I'm doing this live, so kind of just, what I'm deciding to look at. Let's look at surface distance, and in fact, I'm just going to move this to turf routes. So from a grade 3, let me punch that in too, actually. So we'll go a grade 3 and see if I can get a figure line. 89, 83, 90. So kind of mid-80s to 90. Close that back out. I'm going to look for anything greater than 84. Alright, so that filtered out some horses there. So as far as speed, and again, I go into depth a little bit more in that Madison video as far as how I'm kind of coming up with that number and how to use that number. That'll be a feature on the new grid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10 fit from speed perspective on there. Those are horses that have run greater than an 84. All right. So kind of a quick sort as far as speed. Again, 1, 2, 4, 6. Those are all common. Let's see, 10 fits on both class and speed. Write that one down, 10. And then the 5 I'm going to include as both pace and speed. Okay. Sometimes this is good, if you're playing, you're playing live, playing a tournament, playing the board, that there's certain factors that are just going to be price dependent, and then of course, a horse like the 5, let's say that horse is the favorite, we'd have a couple knocks. So this is good. Once the line comes out, we're kind of creating our own value line to work on that. I'm going to clear out all the filters and just sort of go through, again, just from a form standpoint, where this horse is in their form cycle. Let's go through our contenders first. So 1, we'll go horse by horse. So the 1, Dream Dancing, first time out, BTL improved. ran second, won next time out. B minus, muddy track, that was on dirt. Still B minus improved, and that was in a grade 1 into a grade 2 BTL. So this is a horse that just shows up in every race. One time has flow, close other. Let's just kind of look at the extended comment. Big move on the turn. Outclassed this field. Flip leads once clearing the stretch, nearing the wire. Little bit, this one here, not gifted the win, had to work for it. So really solid effort. The one is a contender. Kind of fits on every category. Let's move to the number 2, La Coronel. Another horse, fits on speed figures, debut at a B, even again, 4th place finish, still ran a winning race. Took a couple times to break the maiden, goes to turf, 2 wins on turf. Santa Anita, this is grade 1, move wide, extended comment, nice move on the turn, caught 4 or 5 wide, and then good second in the Florida Oaks. We have a tactic here, so moved a little bit early as speed was backing up, lost position by going wide. Again, another horse that seems to figure in here. Look at the number 4 next. Lightly raced. The one flag here, 160-day layoff, so we can look at the workouts, kind of a new feature here on the grid. This kind of helps out a little bit too. Works in the last 90 days, works in the last 45 days. And you can kind of see there is a gap here. 90 days, there's only 7 works, and 45 days, 6 works. So this horse is kind of coming back in. There's that gap from October to February, and then seems pretty consistent through the end of February all the way through April 8th. Comes back. I don't see any gate works, so maybe was on a farm somewhere, but pretty solid pattern. Again, working on dirt, was down in South Florida, and then has a local work. So I would make this horse a contender, especially that B plus in a grade 1. But of course the layoff. Anytime you have a layoff, want to be concerned as far as fitness and readiness, especially with these young horses. Are they kind of making that move forward? All right, the number 6 coasted, second off a layoff, slog last time, so broke slow, no cover. No cover is a newer keyword. It's like not quite wide, but outside of horses, so not the most favorable trip. No extended comment there. Had a B plus in a grade 1, so that definitely figures. All of our top horses there seem to work. I'm going to go back, clear this out completely, and just kind of scroll through horse by horse. Again, there's any horses that we are, what I'm kind of looking for here is anything that's projection, coming out of these restricted races. If I see some BTLs or improve on any of these horses I didn't really look at. Number 5, we had a couple factors. We can even kind of go back, look at this horse individually, because there's kind of some interesting notes. This might be a horse that's moving forward. First time out, debuting at Saratoga, sprinting, green, prep, stretch, so waiting for this horse to go long. Didn't happen next time. They finally stretched her out, got a B minus, a B. Grit is a positive comment there. On the grit, 96-day layoff. Let's pull up the workouts and just see. Again, kind of the same thing. Last 90 days, 5 works. Last 45 days, 4 works. So that's a little concerning that there's a gap from January 21st to March 14th. Does have 1 bullet drill. We note that here. 1 bullet drill, and then also this looks like a pretty solid work too. 5 furlong drill and 59 flat. So coming back with some quick works. But yeah, a little bit of question there. Has to move forward, especially if this race does clinic closer to the 90. It's going to have to move forward, and then might be a little bit short off that layoff. Not a fan of the multiple layoff lines, 45 days, 59 days, 96 days. So while I would expect that horse to be one of the longer shots, those would be just kind of some concerns as far as taking a price. Coasted, we talked about. Journey Home, had that B there. Fig's a little bit soft. I think that's why this horse didn't pop up. We projected 84. Coming off a 105-day layoff. What this horse is in work pattern. 4 works in the last 45 days. Hasn't those 4 works, again, nothing gate, so could be on a farm preparing. December 25th prior to that. The number 8 drops shorter, so don't like to see that. The number 9, Dinah Tail. So B- in the grade 3, and then both these races here with wins at Tampa were both Lone and Flow. Going back to plot, I'll click over to standard. She's not even going to make, could make the lead here, but definitely not going to be Lone, even on surface distance. And I know it gets a little bit more congested with, once we go to standard with these other horses, 11, 12, 13. So we'll have some pressure, not likely to get a lone trip, which that seems to be where she does her best work. The number 10, Lowell. This is a horse that popped up on both class and speed. I guess as far as trip, another one, kind of perfect trip. Had a no finish and then a lone. So as far as speed figure wise, but not able to get a lone trip, that would be the concern on this runner. There are some cases to be made as far as speed figures fit, class fits, trip would be questionable, drawing from the outside. Number 11, Morticia. So stretching out, going from 5 furlongs to 8. Seems like a big step up in class from obviously class standpoint, and then also first time around 2 turns. So those are some concerns there. First time out, did have a stretch, so probably could handle a little bit more ground. That's interesting. So if you like this horse, there is that projection there. Number 12, coming off Turfway Park, seems like a little bit high fig on that. Maybe not. I'd have to go back and watch that race. Has won at Keeneland, cover, grit, so that's positive. I don't have this horse anywhere as far as pace, class, and speed. So this is kind of why it's good to go through form. This might be an interesting horse. Does have that speed figure. Speed figure on turf, 84. That was as 2-year-old. Second off layoff, coming in 19 days. I'm going to mark that horse as just kind of a little bit interesting. Let me go over to plot, just kind of see where she projects. Yeah, not terrible. Circle in quadrant 1. Go to standard. Circle in quadrant 1's not favorable in surface distance. Doesn't seem to be favorable here. 8.1%, 10 wins and 124 starts. Then again, yeah. So kind of an interesting horse. I'd kind of put a long shot mark next to that one. Number 13, coming off a layoff, 152 layoff at Keeneland. First time trying turf. Sort of looks like a prep, especially knowing it's a Woodbine type horse and the Woodbine meet coming up soon. Alright, try to wrap this video, not spend too much time on it, make it super long, but those are the factors I'd be looking at for handicapping, sort of the way I would be grading each horse as far as a contender value below, and wait for the morning lines, of course watch the tote board, and make a decision on how I'd play the race. Thank you for watching. This Thursday we'll record the Arkansas Derby again with Scott Shapiro, and then there's some talks about doing in the 2 weeks leading up to the Derby, just kind of doing some coverage over the top 20 points earners going into the Kentucky Derby, getting prepared for that race. So a lot going on, lots to look forward to. Please continue to support the channel, watch the videos, subscribe if you haven't already. It's much appreciated, and thanks again for watching.